It was a typical winter evening when Emily first swiped right on Simon. His profile was enticing. Charming smile, a jet-set lifestyle, and an air of mystery that made her heart flutter. They hit it off instantly. Texts turned into late-night calls, and within weeks, Emily was convinced that Simon was everything she had ever wanted. He was a successful businessman, always traveling for work, but he always made time for her. It was too good to be true, but Emily was in love, or so she thought. "How was your day, darling?" Simon would text, his words always warm and tender, like a promise or tone. "I can't wait to see you," she would reply, eagerly awaiting their next phone call or the next time he was in town. But even in those early days, Emily noticed something odd. Simon would occasionally mention his business trips to distant cities and claim to be under constant pressure. He always seemed to need money for emergencies, a lost wallet, urgent business expenses, or unexpected flights. Each time, he was quick to assure her that it was temporary and would be reimbursed the moment he returned to his home in Israel. She didn't think much of it at first. He was so convincing, his words sweet and his promises endless. The first time Simon asked Emily for money, she hesitated. She had known him for 6 months by then, and the bond between them had deepened. His pleas were desperate, almost too believable. "Please, Emily, you know I would never ask you if I wasn't in a real crisis. My life is at stake here." Her heart ached for him. He promised her that he would pay her back the moment he settled his financial troubles. He even sent her fake bank statements to prove he was wealthy and could afford to reimburse her. She sent the money hoping it would ease his troubles. But as the days passed, Simon's requests for money became more frequent, more urgent. He needed funds for an emergency security detail after an alleged threat. Then it was to cover the costs of medical treatment for a close friend. Each story tugged at Emily's heartstrings. Every time he promised repayment, he made it sound so plausible, so necessary. Months passed and Emily's bank account grew thinner. She had maxed out her credit cards and even took out a personal loan to help Simon. Yet each time, he assured her it would be repaid. But Simon's messages grew more sporadic, and whenever Emily confronted him about the money, he had a new excuse, a new reason why things were delayed. The once constant flow of texts and calls turned into cold silences, leaving her questioning everything. One night, after receiving another urgent request for $20,000 to help Simon escape an attack, Emily decided to do something she had never done before. She Googled his name. What she found made her stomach drop. Several women, all with similar stories, had been swindled by a man using the same fake name, Simon Leviev. They too had fallen in love with him, had sent him thousands of dollars, and had been left with nothing but broken promises. Shaking, Emily called Simon, demanding answers. His smooth, reassuring voice was gone. Instead, it was replaced by defensiveness. "How dare you doubt me, Emily? After everything we've been through, you don't trust me?" She tried to reason with him, asking for proof of his supposed wealth, but he deflected. "I can't explain everything right now," he said. "It's too dangerous. You wouldn't understand." Emily felt the tight knot in her stomach grow. This wasn't just a man in trouble anymore. This was someone who had been playing her for months. Heartbroken and desperate, Emily contacted the authorities. She filed a report, but she was just one of many victims, and Simon Leviev was becoming more elusive by the day. Days turned into weeks, and Emily thought she might never get her money back, but the story was far from over. One evening, as she was scrolling through social media, a news report caught her eye. Tinder swindler arrested after years of deceiving women out of millions. Simon Leviev, the name that had once made her heart race in excitement, was finally caught. The police had uncovered a massive scam involving multiple women across the globe. He had used fake identities, fake business deals, and promises of extravagant lives to lure women into his trap. The total sum he had swindled from victims was in the millions. But what shocked Emily the most wasn't the revelation that Simon had scammed dozens of women. It was the realization that the entire time he was scamming her, he was simultaneously doing the same to other women, the women she thought were her friends. Emily wasn't just a victim, she was a pawn in his game. The world had learned the truth about Simon, but Emily was left to pick up the pieces of her broken heart and finances. The police had recovered some of the stolen funds, but the emotional toll was far greater than any amount of money could heal. In the months that followed, Emily's life became a quiet battle. The romance that once felt like a fairy tale was now a cruel lesson in trust, manipulation, and deceit. She felt betrayed not only by Simon but by herself for believing the lies. But Emily wasn't the only one who had been deceived. The victims came together, offering each other support, and together they started a campaign to warn others about the dangers of online dating. They were determined to ensure that Simon Leviev's lies wouldn't affect anyone else. Simon Leviev was eventually sentenced to prison for his crimes. His story became a cautionary tale for many. He was no longer the smooth-talking, charming businessman he once appeared to be. He was just a man who used the vulnerability of others for his own gain. His deception had caused emotional, financial, and psychological damage that would haunt his victims for years to come. But for Emily, the scars remained, even though she began to rebuild her life. The love she once felt for Simon had turned into a deep well of regret. But with the support of friends and other victims, she slowly learned to trust again. Not in love at first sight, but in the strength to heal, one day at a time. Like and subscribe for more stories of love, lies, and lessons learned.